My name is Mike Ormsby, and I am currently the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Washington, which is the chief federal law enforcement officer for the eastern part of our state. I grew up in the Gonzaga University neighborhood, so I went to elementary school at St. Aloysius Grade School, and then I went to North Central High School and graduated from North Central in 1975. High school for me was a real eye-opener, and that's not to say that I had a bad experience in elementary school, but I went to high school and there was just this whole arena of not just classes but activities to be involved in. So I had the opportunity to take journalism and be involved in the newspaper staff. I was involved in student government and had the privilege of being elected ASB president my senior year. I was on the debate team, and during the years that I was there, and frankly I need to give probably more credit to my younger brothers for this happening, but we won the city championship 3 out of those 4 years. And I also was involved in the Inter-High Senate and was on the Citizens Advisory Committee as the student representative. And it was such a wonderful experience for me in terms of the range of students and kids that I met and got to know, and the classes I could take. In fact, I ended up going to summer school at Shadle Park for 3 of the summers I was in high school because I wanted to take more classes, and there just wasn't enough time during the day to do that. So for me, high school was a wonderful, eye-opening experience, and it was the best 4 educational years of my life. Actually, it was the summer after I graduated from high school, and because I'd been on the Citizens Advisory Committee, I had some idea of what some of the issues were, and I was not happy with all the decisions the school board had made. And there was a near teacher strike actually the fall of 1975. It didn't happen, but my dad said, you know, don't complain about something. If you're upset about it, do something about it. So I filed to run for the school board in the summer of 1975, right after I graduated from high school, and probably no one was more surprised than I was that I happened to get elected, so had the opportunity to serve on the Spokane School Board for 8 years. And that was, again, I attribute that to the opportunities I had in high school, and it was a very educational experience for me, and I learned a tremendous amount from the administrators and the other board members I served with, who frankly treated me with a lot more respect than I had expected, and taught me one of life's important lessons, that you can disagree agreeably. And so my learning, I think, really just continued on with that experience, and it all started as a result of the opportunities I had in high school, frankly. Education was a real important cornerstone of our family life, and I would say probably my 2 most important teachers, although I didn't always know it at the time, were my mom and dad. And both my parents had college degrees, which in our neighborhood was rare, and I have 7 younger brothers, so it was always, the discussion always was, you're going to go on to school, not necessarily to a 4-year college, but to give yourself the opportunity to do whatever it is that you want to do. And my dad was one of those people that was always teaching, and he's the one that really taught me the art of compromise as a teenager, which frankly is not something most of us as teenagers have the opportunity to pick up on, but he was very good at that, and by his example and the way he lived was a great teaching moment, I think, for all of us. And probably the biggest lesson I got from my dad was that you really are a lifelong learner, and that has been certainly a model I've tried to follow. And from my mom, it was how to live with compassion. And certainly when you're raising 8 boys that were born in a 10-year period of time, to exhibit compassion on a daily basis can't be easy. But my mom was just the consummate picture of not only thoughtfulness but compassion, and it was a lesson that was drilled home to all of us, that you want to treat other people just the way you want to be treated. And of course you hear that at church, but we lived it at home most of the time. There were a fair number of fights, but at the end of the day, the lesson we took away from that was you need to be fair and treat others well. Jerry Hughes and Jerry Hopkins, two social studies teachers I had, as really having a big impact on me. And Jerry Hughes later went on to be a state senator, but was real helpful in advising me in kind of the political arena, particularly as an 18-year-old novice starting out. Dean Rieken, who was the ASB advisor, was also a big influence on me in terms of not biting off more than you can chew, not over-promising, but trying to build from the ground up instead of dictating from the top down. Dick Pelkey was not only our debate coach and was a big instrumental influence there, he probably taught me the class in high school that I've come to need the most in my current life, and that was he taught typing. And I could never use a computer today if Dick hadn't have taught me how to type. So I often tell him that that's probably the biggest life skill I got in high school, and he was very instrumental in that. And my math teacher, Burl Exley, always expected a lot out of us, and math was not my subject, and he understood that. And at the end of my junior year, when I said that I wasn't going to go on to take a fourth year of math in high school, which was kind of expected for the college track, he said, you know, I understand that, and you've tried your hardest, and I'm not going to really talk you out of that decision. But he was always there as a mentor and advisor. And in college, Father Frank Costello took me under his wing when I was a freshman and a poli-sci major, and he married us and he's baptized our 4 children, and he's been a huge influence in my life and continues to be today. I was fortunate enough to get a debate scholarship to Gonzaga University, and so I moved 4 blocks from my parents' house to live in a dorm at Gonzaga, and went to Gonzaga University for 4 years, and then went to law school at Gonzaga and graduated in 1981. And while I was at Gonzaga, I had the great fortune of receiving a Truman Fellowship, and that actually paid for my last 2 years of undergraduate school and my law school. And the whole concept behind the Truman Fellowship was to encourage people to be active and involved in their communities and to be involved in public service. So I almost feel that this opportunity to now serve as U.S. Attorney has brought me full circle, and I would not have been able to receive my education as quickly as I did without that support from the foundation. And they expected us to come back to our communities and to provide service, and so I'm honored to have the opportunity to be able to do that. I think that they certainly looked at a lot of the other activities that I was involved in high school and in college, but I think the fact that I was on the school board and was involved in some pretty, at that time, significant activities. That's when the first building program for what we now call the project schools started, and a lot of those activities were ongoing when I had the opportunity to be considered for the foundation award. I had the opportunity to also be on the City Planning Commission when I was in high school, and that was in college, and that was a very positive experience. And then I had the opportunity to serve on some committees for it's now the Inland Northwest Foundation, but at that time it was the Greater Spokane Foundation, and also had the opportunity to serve on the Northeast Community Center board before the Northeast Community Center was built. And one of the proudest accomplishments for me, besides seeing the new schools that were built during the time I was on the school board, is to see that the community center is still there. In fact, one of my brothers is still on the board, and they have expanded and continue to provide service to people in the northeast part of town, and I think that's tremendous, and I'm very proud to be a real small part of that. Education is still a big part of our life. In fact, my youngest son is in Teach for America this year in Detroit, so he's teaching middle school in Detroit. So I think the next generation of teachers is out there in our family right now too. I would have to say that probably my biggest accomplishment was marrying my wife, and we got married right out of college, and we've been married now almost 32 years, and we've had 4 wonderful children. I've watched some elected board members and city council members do some amazing listening and distilling down points of view to an action plan, and I marvel at their ability to do that, and I still today am learning from people how to better do the job that I have and how to be a better citizen and how to be more effective at trying to accomplish what you want to have accomplished and exercise some patience in doing that. So learning is something that I feel fortunate to do every day, and being exposed to new, different, and exciting things that I didn't even know were out there is what keeps me charged up every day and makes me excited to start out every day. I've had the opportunity to practice with two wonderful law firms in Spokane. One is an international firm that happens to have an office in Spokane, and that afforded me the opportunity to travel to parts of this country and other places I wouldn't have otherwise had the chance to go. And 6 months ago was given the opportunity to be the United States Attorney, which is the, I think, ultimate position of service that someone with a law background could have the opportunity to do. So I feel so blessed to have lived in this wonderful community, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to give back just a portion of what I think the community, including the school system, has given to me.